Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today, as I continue covering episodes from Season 4, I'm going to be talking about The Test, which was written by Kathleen Hite and directed by Harvey Laidman, who had been one of our first assistant directors for a lot of years and then had an opportunity to direct a number of episodes of The Waltons. If you're enjoying these, please do hit like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll know when I post another video. As the episode begins, John, along with John Boy, Ben, and Jason, are working to finish up a furniture order for a hotel. Now, Eric at times has talked about how Will Gear had a habit of leaning on people, and here you see an example of that where he is using Eric's shoulder as a bit of an armrest, and then a little bit later you see him also with an arm around Jason. So one of Will's favorite things to do. Mr. Knightley arrives to supposedly pick up all this furniture that he has ordered, and we find out that the hotel that the furniture was going to, their boiler blew, and so they're having to use all of their reserve cash to repair that and the damage. So there is no longer any furniture order because there's no money to pay for it. This sets up the dilemma for this episode, whereby John is working to try and find how he can make money. There don't seem to be any jobs available. No one's ordering lumber. Meanwhile, Olivia finds that she has an avenue whereby she can earn money and help the family during this difficult time. Olivia has fashioned a dress for Elizabeth's doll, as well as a matching one for Elizabeth, out of fabric that Elizabeth was given by the Baldwin Sisters. Elizabeth and Olivia go to see the Baldwin Sisters to thank them for this gift of the lovely fabric. The Baldwin Sisters ask Olivia if she would like to see all these amazing fabrics that they have. They look through this trunk, and the Baldwin Sisters get the idea to have Olivia make some dresses for the two of them, for which they will pay Olivia, and so she does. I had a lot of fun with this scene where I'm basically being a dress mannequin for Olivia as she is looking to pin a dress hemline for a dress that she is creating for Miss Mamie. So there I am, grumbling and trying not to get stuck with pins. Shortly after that, we see the Baldwin sisters wearing these dresses, including the one that I had been a mannequin for. They look stunning, love the hats, and then they say that they were at a garden party of some sort, and there was a woman there, one of the top modistes in town, who loved the needlework, the sewing work of Olivia's, and would be very interested in talking to her about doing some additional sewing work. As Olivia is pinning me into this dress, because of the angle, you see some of the ceiling. Well, typically there wouldn't be ceiling on a lot of these bedrooms and things. So whenever they had to do something like this where you would see the ceiling, they would literally put in a piece of ceiling so that the camera wasn't just seeing the top of the wall and then up into the sound stage. So that caught my attention as I watched this scene. John Boy takes Olivia to Westham to visit Stella Lewis, who is the modiste at the store. This actress is Abby Dalton, who played Stella. So Olivia arrives at the store and says that, yes, she's interested in doing seamstress work. Stella hires her on the spot because she thinks her work is fabulous. However, the stipulation is that Olivia would have to actually work in the store because that's where the customers would be, where she'd need to do all the fittings and things. But it is for a sizable amount of money that the family could really use, so Olivia decides to go ahead and accept the job. John finds himself in a different position than he's used to, where he's the one out searching for work, which is not unusual, but that Olivia is the one who's actually earning the money for the family right now. It's not an easy thing for John. Meanwhile, we see Olivia and Stella having lunch at a diner, and that's something unusual for Olivia. She is really enjoying the company of Stella and feeling valuable and that she is contributing to the family. So this is important for Olivia. Plus, she's just having a lot of fun. In this sequence at the diner, the gentleman behind the checkout counter is Gordon, who was one of our long-time stand-ins on the show. And also we see pop up in various different scenes when we need background players. And sometimes here and there he actually had a line or two as well. When John Boy comes to pick Olivia up from the end of her day of work, she's wearing a gorgeous gown and turning around to look at herself in the mirror and just enjoying feeling different. Stella puts a mink cape on her, puts some pearls on her, and then says that she would like Olivia to come to New York with her on a buying trip. And she would be gone about a week and would like Olivia to consider this. So Olivia does go home and ask John about it. Grandma and Grandpa think it's a fabulous idea, and they say they can completely take care of the children and the house and everything. So it's decided that Olivia will go with Stella to New York. Before Olivia leaves on the trip, Stella actually arrives at the house in a fabulous convertible and looking very elegant. She wants to meet the family. She wants to meet all these children, everything that Olivia has talked about in her life. She wants to come and experience this. She also wants to talk with Olivia about a bigger idea, the idea of having Olivia take over the shop in Westham, because Stella would like to expand her business and open a store in maybe DC or Rockfish. She's looking at this opportunity because she trusts Olivia and feels like this would be her opportunity to expand. Olivia is a little overwhelmed by this idea and needs some time to think about it. Stella does have a chance to see some of the dynamics within the family because Reckless has gotten himself up into the treehouse somehow. They think maybe he chased a cat up there. It would have been really, really difficult for Reckless to have gotten up there. I'm sure he was put up there. But meanwhile, the children, they fashion a sling and they lower Reckless down. And you can see some shots where the dog is not all that interested in being removed from the treehouse, and he's really fighting, or she is really fighting being kind of pushed out of the treehouse, but is safely lowered to the ground. After some careful thought and deliberation, Olivia decides that she does not want to become a full-time worker in the store or go to New York or any of that she really is happy with her life here on the mountain. And so her decision is to stay home, and that her adventure in Westham and being a seamstress is done for now. There's a very sweet subplot involving Maude Gormley and Grandma. Maude comes by the house at one point to visit Myrtle, and then at one point Grandma sees someone disappearing into the barn, and when she calls Grandpa and they go in there, turns out that Maude is in there hiding because her son Leonard has arrived to tell her that he wants her to go to this old folks home, and she's run away to hide because she feels safer here. Leonard comes by the Waltons' house and explains to the Waltons that he's worried about her, that she lives alone, and what if she took a fall or there was a fire or something. And so ultimately she feels sort of overwhelmed by Leonard's his thoughts and his feelings, and so she reluctantly goes along with it. A little later, Grandma does go to visit Maude at this old folks home, and while it's very nice, she isn't happy there, and she feels like she misses the mountain and misses being able to go and pick berries with Grandma, where they would eat more than they would pick, and all those sorts of things. And Grandma can tell how sad she is and feels badly for her, and has basically said, don't anybody ever dare do that to me. Before the end of the episode, Maude has broken out of the home and has gotten a bus somewhere, and then has hitched a ride on the ice wagon. And so she arrives back at the Walton house. She has decided she's coming back to the mountain. So nice to see her back. Always fun to work with Merie Earle. She was such a character. She started acting much later in her life than most people turn professional, but she was just so unique and entertaining, and I know she did quite a bit of work in her later years. And the character of Maude Gormley was so much fun. She was so sort of eccentric, and Merie was very much like that character in real life. I think most of the characters you might have seen her play in shows were a lot alike, and I think that was sort of who Merie was, and we always had a good time having her on the show. That's what I have for you for this episode of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. I will be back with more Behind the Scenes of the Waltons and more Ask Judy. Thanks for watching.